The message came on a Tuesday morning in spring. Every screen on Earth turned white at the same moment. Every radio station went silent. Every phone, every computer, every television displayed the same image. A creature made of living crystal stood in front of a council of beings that no human had ever seen before. Admiral Jack Morrison was drinking coffee in his office at the Pentagon when it happened. He set his cup down slowly and watched as the alien began to speak. Its voice was cold and clear, like ice breaking on a frozen lake. Species designation: human. Origin world: Earth. Threat assessment: existential. Jack felt his heart stop. The Galactic Conclave has observed your kind for 200 of your years. We have studied your history, your wars, your weapons, your endless hunger for expansion. We have reached a unanimous decision. The crystal being paused. Behind it, thousands of alien forms sat in a vast chamber that seemed to stretch into forever. You have been deemed incompatible with galactic peace. The sentence is termination. You have 90 of your planetary rotations to prepare your species for end-of-existence protocols. Resistance will accelerate the timeline. This verdict is final. The screens went dark. For 30 seconds, the world was completely silent. Then the screaming began. Jack Morrison did not scream. He picked up his phone and called his wife, Linda. She answered on the first ring. Jack, did you see it? What was that? What does it mean? It means I need you to take Amy somewhere safe, Jack said. His voice was calm because he had no other choice. Go to your mother's place in Montana. Stay there until I call you. Jack, are we going to die? He closed his eyes and thought about his daughter. 7 years old. Brown hair like her mother. A laugh that could light up any room. Not if I have anything to say about it, he said. I love you both. Now go. Within 6 hours, the world had changed completely. The United Nations called an emergency session. Every world leader attended, either in person or by video link. There were no empty seats. There were no excuses. For the first time in human history, every nation on Earth agreed on something. They were all going to die unless they found a way to fight back. Secretary General Hannah Price stood at the podium. She was a small woman with gray hair and tired eyes, but her voice carried across the silent chamber like thunder. We have 90 days, she said. 90 days before they come to kill us all. Our children, our parents, our friends, everything we have ever built. Everything we have ever loved. They want to erase it all because they are afraid of what we might become. She looked at the assembled leaders. I say we show them that their fear was justified. The vote was unanimous. Earth would fight. Dr. Ben Carter received the call at 3 in the morning. He was a physicist at MIT, known for his work on theoretical energy systems. He had never worked for the military. He had never wanted to. But when the Secretary General herself asked him to lead humanity's scientific response, he could not say no. What exactly do you want me to do? He asked the man who came to collect him, a tall soldier named Commander Sam Burke. Figure out how to kill things that are 1,000,000 years more advanced than us, Sam said. And do it in less than 3 months. That's impossible. Sam smiled, but there was no humor in it. Doctor, impossible is all we have left. They set up the Global Defense Initiative in an underground bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains. Scientists from every country worked side by side. Russian physicists shared data with American engineers. Chinese programmers collaborated with Indian mathematicians. The old divisions meant nothing now. There was only humanity and the thing that was coming to destroy it. Jack Morrison was put in charge of military operations. He had commanded ships for 20 years, but he had never prepared for a war like this. They had no idea what they were facing, no idea what weapons the aliens would use. No idea if anything humans built could even scratch their ships. "We're fighting blind," said Lieutenant Commander Kate Sullivan, his second in command. She was young, barely 30, but she had a sharp mind and steady hands. Jack had requested her specifically. "Then we build eyes," Jack said. "We gather every piece of information we can, and we prepare for the worst." The information came slowly. They intercepted fragments of alien communications. They analyzed the energy signature of the original transmission. Piece by piece, they built a picture of what they were facing. The Galactic Conclave had existed for 9 million years. 12,000 species lived under its laws. It did not fight wars. It issued judgments. When a species was deemed dangerous, it sent machines called purifiers, automated fleets designed to wipe out entire worlds. No species had ever survived purification. "Then we'll be the first," Kate said when she heard the news. Jack looked at her. "You really believe that?" "I have to," she said, "because the alternative is lying down and dying. And I don't know how to do that." Across the world, humanity began to build. Shipyards that had made cargo vessels started making warships. Factories that had produced cars started producing weapons. Every resource, every mind, every pair of hands was put to work. In Norfolk, Virginia, a foreman named Pete Collins stood in front of his workers. They had been building ships together for 30 years. Now they were building something different. "This isn't just a job anymore," Pete said. "This is survival. Every bolt we tighten, every plate we weld, might be the thing that saves someone's life. Maybe your kid. Maybe mine. So let's get to work." They worked around the clock. They slept in shifts. They ate at their stations. And slowly, day by day, a fleet began to take shape. The ships were not elegant. They were not beautiful. They were ugly, brutal machines covered in armor and bristling with weapons. They looked like something built by people who were angry and afraid and determined to make someone pay. Jack Morrison watched the fleet grow from his command center. 90 days. It was not enough time. Nothing would be enough time. But humanity was not going to die quietly. On day 30, he received a message from his daughter. It was a drawing of a spaceship with the words, "Daddy's ship," written in crayon at the bottom. He pinned it to his wall and got back to work. Day 23. 67 days remained until the end of the world. Dr. Lisa Park had not slept in 4 days. She sat in her laboratory in Geneva, surrounded by screens filled with data she could barely understand. The coffee in her cup had gone cold hours ago. She did not notice. Lisa was a quantum physicist. Before the verdict, she had spent her days studying particles so small they could barely be measured. Now she was trying to find a way to kill machines from another galaxy. The weight of it pressed down on her like a physical thing. "Any progress?" asked Ben Carter. He had arrived from the American facility that morning, hoping that fresh eyes might help. "Maybe," Lisa said. She pulled up a display showing the energy patterns from the alien transmission. "Look at this. The Conclave's technology is based on quantum-locked matrices. It's incredibly advanced, far beyond anything we can build. But there's something strange about it." Ben leaned closer. "What am I looking at?" "They're targeting systems. They're designed to track species that think in linear patterns. Logical, predictable species that make decisions based on calculation and probability." Lisa smiled for the first time in weeks. "But human brains don't work that way. We're chaotic, irrational. Our neural patterns are so unpredictable that their systems can't get a clean lock on us. We're too crazy for their computers to understand." "Basically, yes. Our thoughts are noise in their signal. It won't make us invincible, but it might give us an edge." Ben stared at the data. It was a small thing. A tiny advantage against an enemy that had destroyed 17 worlds. But it was something. "Send this to Admiral Morrison," he said. "And keep looking. There has to be more." In the bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, Commander Sam Burke was training soldiers for a war no one had ever fought. They ran drills every day, practicing combat scenarios against an enemy they had never seen. It felt like trying to teach someone to swim by describing water. "The purifiers are machines," Sam told his troops. "They don't feel fear. They don't make mistakes. They don't get tired. They will keep coming until they're destroyed or until we're dead." A young soldier named Danny Reyes raised his hand. "How do we fight something like that, sir?" Sam looked at the young man. Danny was 22 years old. He had joined the military to pay for college. Now he might die before he ever saw a classroom again. "We fight dirty," Sam said. "We fight mean. We don't follow rules because rules are for people who have time. We throw everything we have at them and pray it's enough. And if it's not enough..." Sam was quiet for a moment. "Then we make them earn every inch. We make them remember that they came to Earth and found something they didn't expect. Something that hurt them." The shipyards worked without stopping. In Norfolk, Pete Collins had not gone home in 2 weeks. He slept on a cot in his office and ate meals brought to him by his workers. His wife called every night to tell him she loved him. His children sent him messages that he read when he had a spare moment. The ship they were building was called the Defiance. It was the largest vessel humanity had ever constructed, a carrier that could hold hundreds of smaller fighters. Its hull was made from the melted-down armor of a dozen retired warships. Its weapons were designed to fire projectiles the size of small cars at speeds that would turn them into meteors. "It's ugly," said one of the engineers, a woman named Grace Kim. "Good," Pete replied. "Ugly things survive. Pretty things get killed first." By day 40, Earth had a fleet. 2,000 ships of various sizes, crewed by volunteers from every nation. They were not enough. They all knew they were not enough. But they were what humanity had. Admiral Jack Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiance for the first time. Kate Sullivan stood beside him, going over the ship systems on a tablet. "Weapons are operational," she said. "Shields are at 60% efficiency. Engine output is better than expected. We might actually be able to hurt them." "Might," Jack repeated. "That's the word, isn't it? Might. It's better than nothing, sir." Jack walked to the main viewport and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, a fleet of machines was coming to kill everything he had ever known. His wife, his daughter, every human being who had ever lived or would ever live. "When I was a boy," he said quietly, "my grandfather told me about World War II. He was on a ship in the Pacific. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and surrounded by enemies. He said the only thing that kept them going was knowing that giving up wasn't an option. That surrender meant death anyway, so they might as well fight. Did they win? They did. And they were just humans, Kate. Just people with courage and anger and nothing to lose." He turned to face her. "We're the same. We're still the same species that clawed its way out of caves and conquered a planet. This is just a bigger cave. A bigger fight." On day 50, Lisa Park made another discovery. She had been studying the fragments of purifier code that Earth's satellites had intercepted. Most of it was beyond human understanding, but one piece stood out. "They have a central processor," she told Ben and Jack during a video conference. "Every purifier in the fleet is connected to it. If we can destroy it or even disrupt it, we might be able to shut down the entire fleet at once." "Where is it?" Jack asked. "At the center of their formation. The most protected spot in their fleet. So we need to punch through 30,000 enemy ships to reach it." Lisa nodded. "Yes, I'm sorry. I know it's not much." Jack thought about it for a long moment. It was suicide. A one-way trip into the heart of an enemy fleet. But it was also the only chance they had. "Start building the disruptor," he said. "I'll find someone to deliver it." He already knew who that someone would be. He had known since the moment he saw the transmission. Some prices were worth paying. Some sacrifices were necessary. That night, he recorded a message for his daughter. He did not tell her he might die. He told her that he loved her, that he was proud of her, that she should be brave and kind and strong. Then he went back to work. 60 days down. 30 days to go. The storm was coming. Day 61. The purifiers came early. Jack Morrison was reviewing battle plans when the alarm sounded. Red lights flashed across the bridge of the Defiance. Crew members rushed to their stations. Kate Sullivan appeared at his side within seconds. "They're here," she said. Her voice was steady, but her face was pale. "Sensors are picking up massive energy signatures at the edge of the solar system." "How many?" Kate looked at her screen. For a moment, she did not speak. 30,000, sir. 30,000 vessels." Jack felt the number hit him like a physical blow. 30,000 against 2,000. 15 to 1 odds. He had known it would be bad. He had not known it would be this bad. "Show me," he said. The main screen flickered to life. The view showed the outer reaches of the solar system, past Neptune, past Pluto, and the cold darkness where sunlight barely reached. Points of light were appearing, hundreds at first, then thousands, then too many to count. They spread across the void like silver rain. The purifier fleet was beautiful in a terrible way. Each ship looked like liquid metal frozen in motion, smooth and flowing and perfect. They moved in perfect formation, not a single vessel out of place. They did not speak. They did not threaten. They simply came. "All hands to battle stations," Jack said into the ship-wide com. "This is Admiral Morrison. The enemy has arrived. They expect us to run. They expect us to hide. They expect us to die. Let's show them what they don't expect." Across the fleet, 2,000 human ships came alive. Engines roared. Weapons charged. Men and women who had trained for this moment took their positions and waited for orders. In the carrier bay of the Defiance, Commander Sam Burke climbed into his fighter. The small craft was cramped and smelled of oil and sweat, but it was his. He had named it Lucky. He did not feel lucky today. "All fighters, this is Burke," he said over the com. "Stay close to your wingman. Watch each other's backs. And remember what we're fighting for. Everyone you've ever loved is behind us on that little blue planet. Don't let them down." The battle began at 1400 hours. The purifiers moved first. The front line of their fleet advanced in perfect unison, thousands of ships gliding forward like a silver wave. Energy weapons charged along their hulls, glowing white-hot with power. "All ships, evasive maneuvers," Jack commanded. "Do not follow predictable patterns. Move randomly. Make them work for every shot." The first purifier weapons fired. Beams of pure energy lanced across space, turning everything they touched into light. 3 human ships vanished in an instant. Then 5 more. Then 7. But the purifiers had a problem. Lisa's discovery had been correct. Their targeting systems were designed for logical enemies, species that moved in calculated patterns. Human pilots did not do that. They dodged and weaved and spun based on instinct and fear and pure stubbornness. The purifiers landed hits, but fewer than they should have. "Return fire," Jack ordered. 2,000 human ships opened up with everything they had. Kinetic rounds the size of refrigerators tore through space at incredible speeds. Missiles with nuclear warheads shrieked toward the enemy formation. Laser batteries painted the silver hulls with lines of fire. The first purifier exploded. Then another. then a dozen. "It's working," Kate said. She sounded surprised. "Sir, it's actually working." "Don't celebrate yet," Jack replied. "We've barely scratched them." The battle raged for hours. Human ships fell one by one, their crews dying in fire and silence. But for every human vessel destroyed, 2 or 3 purifiers went with them. It was not enough to win. It was not supposed to be enough to win. But it was more than anyone had expected. Danny Reyes flew his fighter through the chaos, following Sam Burke's lead. His hands were shaking on the controls. Sweat dripped down his face. Around him, ships exploded and pilots screamed their last words over the comm. "Stay with me, kid," Sam's voice said in his ear. "Focus on the next target. Just the next one. Don't think about anything else." Danny fired. A purifier broke apart in front of him. He did not cheer. He simply moved to the next one. On the Defiance, the hours turned into a blur of damage reports and tactical decisions. Jack felt each lost ship like a wound. These were his people, his responsibility, and they were dying. "Sir, the Reliant is gone," Kate said. "The Victory is venting atmosphere. The Hope has lost all power." The names washed over him. Each one was a ship full of people who had volunteered to die for a chance to save their species. "Pull the Hope survivors out," Jack said. "Have the Victory fall back if they can. And keep pushing forward." By the end of the first day, humanity had lost 400 ships. The purifiers had lost nearly 1,000. It was still not enough, but it was something. That night, Jack sat alone in his quarters. He looked at the drawing his daughter had sent him. Daddy's ship. The crayons were slightly smudged where small fingers had pressed too hard. He thought about calling Linda, telling her he loved her one more time, but he could not bring himself to do it. The next day might be his last, and he did not want their final conversation to sound like goodbye. Outside his window, the battle continued. Explosions lit up the darkness. Human ships and purifiers died together in flashes of light. On day 62, the fighting resumed at dawn. The purifiers had adapted slightly, their targeting systems learning from the previous day's chaos. More human ships fell. "We're losing," Kate said quietly. "Slowly, but we're losing." Jack nodded. He had known this would happen. He had planned for it. "Signal the fleet," he said. "It's time for Phase 2. Clear me a path to the center of their formation." Kate stared at him. "Sir, the quantum disruptor isn't ready. Lisa said she needs 12 more hours. Then we give her 12 hours. By any means necessary." The order went out. Every human ship changed tactics, focusing on creating a corridor through the purifier fleet. They were not trying to win anymore. They were trying to buy time. And time was measured in lives. Across the galaxy, 12,000 species watched. The Galactic Conclave had observed purifications before. They were clinical events, quick and efficient. A condemned species would panic, scatter, and die. It usually took less than a planetary rotation. The machines were perfect. The outcome was certain. This was different. High Arbiter Zelkaran sat in his crystal chamber on the Varathi homeworld, watching the feeds from Earth's solar system. He had issued the death sentence himself. He had expected it to be carried out without incident. Instead, he was watching something that had never happened in 9 million years. The humans were winning. Not the war. They would lose the war. The numbers guaranteed that. But they were winning battles. They were destroying purifiers. They were fighting with a ferocity that the machines could not predict and could not understand. "How is this possible?" asked one of his advisors. "They are primitive. They barely left their planet a generation ago. Their technology is millions of years behind ours." Zelkaran studied the data. Human pilots making decisions based on instinct. Human crews staying at their posts even as their ships burned around them. Human commanders sacrificing themselves to protect their comrades. They are not fighting to win, Zelkaron said slowly. They are fighting to hurt us. They treat their own deaths as weapons. They spend their lives like currency, buying damage with blood. That is madness. Yes, Zelkaron agreed. And our purifiers were not designed for madness. On day 63, Kate Sullivan made her decision. Her ship, the Dawn, had taken heavy damage. The engines were failing. The weapons were nearly empty. Half her crew was dead or wounded. By every logical measure, she should have retreated. Kate did not retreat. "Sir, I'm taking the Dawn into their formation," she said over the comm to Admiral Morrison. "There's a cluster of command vessels at coordinates 773. If I can reach them, I can take out at least a dozen purifiers. Kate, your ship is crippled. You won't survive the run. I know." Her voice was calm, peaceful even. "But I can clear a path for you. When the disruptor is ready, you'll need that path." Jack closed his eyes. He had known Kate for 5 years. She had been at his wedding. She had held his daughter when Amy was a baby. Now, she was asking his permission to die. "Kate," he started. "Don't," she said. "Don't make this harder. Just tell me you'll finish what we started. Tell me this won't be for nothing." "I promise," Jack said. His voice cracked on the words. "I promise, Kate." "Then I'll see you on the other side, sir." It's been an honor. The Dawn broke from the human formation and plunged into the enemy fleet. Purifiers turned to intercept, their weapons charging. Kate's ship dodged and weaved, taking hits that tore through her hull, but never slowing down. "Come on," Kate whispered to herself. "Come on, just a little farther." The Dawn reached the command cluster. Kate activated the self-destruct, overloading the ship's reactor to create a blast that would rival a small sun. "You wanted to know what humans are?" She broadcast on all frequencies. "We're the species that doesn't know how to quit." The explosion consumed the Dawn and 17 purifier vessels around it. The blast wave damaged dozens more. And in the chaos, a path opened through the enemy formation. Kate Sullivan was gone. But her sacrifice had changed the battle. On Earth, 8 billion people watched the sky. They did not have detailed information about the fighting. They only knew that their fleet was out there, dying for them. In Montana, Linda Morrison held her daughter and tried not to cry. Amy was too young to understand what was happening. She kept asking when Daddy would come home. "Soon," Linda told her. "Daddy will come home soon?" She did not know if it was true. She said it anyway because Amy needed to hear it. In cities around the world, people gathered in public places. Strangers held hands. Enemies became friends. Old hatreds were forgotten because they seemed so small now. Humanity faced its end together. Dr. Lisa Park worked without stopping. The quantum disruptor was almost complete. 12 hours, she had said. She was trying to do it in 10. "The calibration is off," said Ben Carter, who had refused to leave her side. "If we fire it without proper alignment, it might not work." "It has to work," Lisa said. "I'll make it work." Her hands moved across the controls, making adjustments that should have taken days. She did not have days. She barely had hours. At 0400 on day 64, she completed the device. "It's ready," she told Jack over the comm. "The disruptor is ready. If you can get it to the central processor, it will shut down every purifier in the system." Jack looked at the path Kate had cleared. It was still there, but narrowing as the purifiers reorganized. He had maybe an hour before it closed completely. "Sam," he said over the comm, "I need you to take command of the fleet." "Sir?" Sam's voice was confused. "What are you doing?" "I'm taking the Defiance into the heart of their formation. I'm going to deliver the disruptor personally." Silence on the come. Then Sam spoke again, his voice rough. "Jack, that's a one-way trip." "You know that." "I know." Jack looked at the drawing on his wall. "Daddy's ship. But someone has to do it. And I won't ask anyone else to die for something I'm not willing to do myself." "Then let me come with you. Let me fly escort." "No, I need you here. When this is over, someone has to lead what's left. Someone has to take our people home." Jack paused. "Promise me you'll look after Amy. Promise me you'll tell her that her father loved her." "I promise," Sam said. His voice broke. "I promise, Jack." "Then this is goodbye, old friend. It's been an honor serving with you." Jack cut the cum and turned to his bridge crew. They were all looking at him. They all knew what he was about to do. "Anyone who wants to leave can take the escape pods," he said. "No shame in it. You've all done more than anyone could ask." No one moved. "Then let's go kill some aliens," Jack said. All a head full, the Defiance began its final journey. The Defiance pushed through the enemy formation like a wounded animal that refused to die. Purifier weapons tore into her hull. Fires burned on every deck. Systems failed one by one, but her engines kept running, and her course never wavered. Jack Morrison stood at the helm, his hands steady on the controls. Blood ran down the side of his face from a wound he did not remember receiving. Around him, his crew worked in silence, keeping the ship alive through sheer determination. "Distance to target?" he asked. 3,000 kilometers, replied Lieutenant Tom Harris, the young navigation officer. Tom had a wife and a newborn son waiting for him on Earth. He had chosen to stay anyway. "Enemy vessels converging from all sides," said another voice. "We're taking heavy fire. Reroute power from the shields to the engines," Jack ordered. "We don't need to survive. We just need to get there." The Defiance surged forward. Explosions ripped through her lower decks. Her weapons fell silent as the power was diverted. She was no longer a warship. She was a missile with a human crew. Outside, the remaining human fleet threw everything they had at the purifiers. Sam Burke led the charge, his fighter weaving through the chaos. He could see the Defiance on his sensors, a single dot moving toward the heart of the enemy formation. "All ships, cover the Defiance," Sam commanded. "Give them everything you've got. Do not let them fail." Human ships died by the dozen, but they took purifiers with them. The corridor to the central processor stayed open, barely, as the Defiance pushed through. 1,000 kilometers, Tom reported. 500. 200. Jack could see the central processor now. It was a massive structure, pulsing with energy, connected to every purifier in the fleet by invisible threads of light. If Lisa was right, destroying it would end everything. "Prepare the disruptor," Jack said. "On my signal." The Defiance took one final hit. The impact threw Jack across the bridge. When he pulled himself up, he saw that half his crew was down. Tom Harris lay still on the floor, his eyes closed. "Sir, engines are failing," someone said. "We're not going to make it." Jack looked at the distance. 50 kilometers. So close. So impossibly close. "Then we go the rest of the way the hard way," he said. "All hands, brace for impact. We're ramming them." The Defiance tilted her nose toward the central processor and burned what was left of her fuel. The great ship accelerated, faster and faster, until she was nothing but a streak of metal and fire. She hit the central processor at full speed. The collision was spectacular. The Defiance crumpled like paper, her hull breaking apart, her reactors failing. But the quantum disruptor was already active. In the last moment before the ship died, The device sent out a pulse of energy that traveled along every connection, every link, every thread of the purifier network. And then there was silence. 30,000 purifier vessels went dark. Their weapons stopped firing. Their engines stopped burning. They drifted in the void, dead and lifeless. Nothing but metal and memory. Sam Burke saw it happen from his fighter. One moment, he was fighting for his life. The next, the enemy simply stopped. He floated there for a long moment, unable to believe what he was seeing. "This is Commander Burke to all ships," he said finally. His voice was shaking. "The purifiers are down. Repeat, the purifiers are down. We won." On Earth, the news spread like fire. People poured into the streets, crying and laughing and holding each other. In Montana, Linda Morrison fell to her knees and wept with relief. Beside her, Amy asked if Daddy had won. "Yes, sweetheart," Linda said through her tears. Daddy won. She did not yet know the cost. Across the galaxy, the conclave watched in stunned silence. High Arbiter Zelkaron stared at the feeds, unable to process what he was seeing. A verdict had been overturned. Not through diplomacy. Not through appeal. Through sheer brutal defiance. "What do we do now?" asked one of the elder representatives. Zelkaron was quiet for a long time. He thought about the humans, these strange creatures who fought without logic, who died without hesitation, who turned their own fear into a weapon. "We leave them alone," he said finally. "We remove Earth from our records. We pretend this never happened. And we pray that they forget what we tried to do to them. And if they don't forget?" Zelkaron looked at the image of Earth, a tiny blue dot in a vast and uncaring universe. A dot that had just defeated the most powerful force in galactic history. "Then we hope they are more forgiving than we were." The war was over. Humanity had survived. But the cost was terrible. 800 ships had been lost. Thousands of people had died. Jack Morrison, Kate Sullivan, and countless others had given everything so that their species could live. Sam Burke returned to Earth a hero, but he did not feel like one. He felt like a man who had watched his friends die. He kept his promise to Jack. He visited Linda and Amy every week. He told Amy stories about her father, about how brave he had been, about how much he had loved her. When Amy was old enough to understand, Sam gave her something. It was a medal, the highest honor that Earth could bestow. It had belonged to her father. "He wanted you to have this," Sam said. "He wanted you to know that everything he did for you." Amy held the medal tightly and did not cry. She had her father's eyes, Sam realized. The same steadiness, the same courage. "I'm going to be like him," she said. "I'm going to protect people." 20 years later, she did. Admiral Amy Morrison stood on the bridge of her ship, the New Dawn, as it approached a star system on the edge of explored space. Humanity had spread across the galaxy since the war. They had met many species, some friendly, some not. The conclave still existed, but they left humans alone. A transmission came through. An alien voice speaking the common galactic tongue. "Unknown vessel, identify yourself and state your intentions." Amy smiled. It was her father's smile, warm and steady and unafraid. "This is Admiral Amy Morrison of the human fleet. My people once faced extinction and chose to fight instead. We're not here to make trouble. We're here to make friends." She paused. "Would you like to meet us?" There was a long silence. Then the alien spoke again, and there was something new in its voice. Something like respect. "We've heard of your kind. The species that defied the conclave. The species that redefined fear." "That's us," Amy said. "So what do you say? Friends?" Another pause. Then, "Yes, we would like that very much." Amy leaned back in her chair and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, she knew, her father was watching. She could feel it. "Thanks, Dad," she whispered. "I'll take it from here." And humanity continued its journey among the stars, no longer afraid, no longer alone, no longer willing to accept that anything was impossible. They had redefined fear. And the galaxy would never forget.